So welcome to the second half of our evening, and welcome if you've joined us on YouTube. In this introductory class, over 17 weeks, we present an overview of Buddhism based on an ancient formula of the threefold way, of ethics, of meditation, and of wisdom. And tonight we are in the 14th week of our cycle. And so we've entered into the wisdom stage of our program, if you like. So 2 weeks ago, we were exploring conditionality. And then last week, we looked at karma and rebirth. So tonight's topic, just follows on from the teaching of conditionality. And really to understand what I'm going to talk about this evening, I do need to very briefly just recap on conditionality. So conditionality, or paticca is a universal law that applies to everything in the known universe. And according to that law, all things come into being dependent on causes and conditions. When those causes and conditions change or cease, whatever it was that came into being will also change or cease. And there is a complex mutual relationship between the causes and conditions and their effects. And just for completeness, the law of karma is conditionality operating on the level of ethics. Simply put, it means that actions have consequences. So this evening then, we'll be looking at the 3 marks of conditioned existence. 3 marks or characteristics, sometimes called lakshanas. So everything in the world, i.e. in conditioned existence, is marked by these 3 things. And I think we'll see on the slide in a moment what they are. So impermanence, unsatisfactoriness, and insubstantiality. So you might think, oh, that's a bit heavy. But it is my task this evening to persuade you that in fact these marks, these 3 marks, are the good news. And without them, our life truly would be unbearable. So let's first of all look at impermanence then. If you remember, I said earlier that the law of conditionality operates in the known universe. It applies to everything. It's a universal law. I said that everything comes into being dependent on causes and conditions. And those causes and conditions are subject to change. And so is everything that comes into being dependent on those causes and conditions. In other words, everything is subject to change. Everything is impermanent. All is in flux. So clearly, we are not immediately keen on this idea of impermanence. It means that things we like will wear out, be lost. People we like will pass out of our lives. And we ourselves will grow old and die. So you might say, what on earth would be good about that? Well, because of impermanence, there is loss. But of course, there is great gain too. It is only because of impermanence that something new can come into being. So, for example, my first marriage failed miserably. And at that time, that failing was hard. But now, when I look back on it, I shudder at the thought that I might still be in that marriage, that I might be in that marriage forever. And so everything that is good in my life now, all the happiness that I experience, including a new husband, is all thanks to impermanence. Impermanence then is also the basis for the other two marks, as we will see. So turning then to unsatisfactoriness. It seems that because everything changes, we experience unsatisfactoriness, even real suffering. Of course, good things happen as well. Sometimes we can be happy for long periods of time. But the things that cause us unsatisfactoriness or suffering are physical pain, mental pain, particularly losing things and people, and what we might call existential pain. When things change, when we lose what we like, the result is suffering, or at least unsatisfactoriness. But on the other hand, when we lose what we don't like, for example, a difficult husband, the result is happiness. And much of our mental pain is due to us wanting things to go the way we want. We want to be in control. Buddhism calls this wanting to be in control craving, and we'll hear about that next time. So the good news of unsatisfactoriness, whether physical, mental, or existential, is that we will, out of necessity, in the midst of it, look for change, look for a solution to that suffering. And I expect it is unsatisfactoriness that brings us to the Buddhist center, gets us onto our meditation cushions, and pushes us into working on our mental states. So then finally, insubstantiality. Because everything changes, nothing can be fixed and permanent, nothing can endure through time. And this is especially important for us. We have no fixed and permanent self that stays the same over time. That means that we are as insubstantial as everything else, but that we can change. We can change ourselves in fundamental ways. We could say we can recreate ourselves due to the fact that we are insubstantial. So the teaching of the three marks is easy for us to accept intellectually, to understand and to accept. And you might even say, well, the truth of the three marks is so obvious. You know, why does Buddhism make such a big deal of them? Buddhism makes a big deal of them because despite us seeing their truth, we live our lives as if they didn't apply, at least to us. So we expect impermanent things to endure and stay permanently. We expect unsatisfactory things to give satisfaction. And we expect insubstantial things to have enduring substance. So Buddhism suggests that we reflect on the 3 marks regularly in order to see how things really are, in order to penetrate into reality, into the reality we call enlightenment. So that's everything that I have to say this evening. If you are on YouTube, then thank you for listening.